Welcome back, and as was mentioned earlier in the show, the focus of this conversation is finding out ways to extend the lives of the elderly, and this was the focus of a workshop conducted by HelpAge Belize. And joining us for this conversation is Ivorine Bulwer, who's the Executive Director of HelpAge Belize, and Bernard Adolphus, who is the Chair of Sister Cecilia's Home. Good morning and welcome.
Pleasant good morning.
Now, the workshop that took place, it was actually last week. Let's talk about the purpose of the gathering of all the members of HelpAge.
We had a 2-day workshop with all our board members countrywide, and the purpose of that session was to strengthen the work of the organization, ensuring that we operate from the same script, for all board members to understand the purpose, why we're doing what we're doing, look at areas of governance, look at areas of the laws that govern us, and to look at how we can strengthen community participation, to look at how we can identify what are our resources that we need to do our work. So essentially, you know, we were utilizing all these.
Now, these are all frontline workers when it comes to engaging with the elderly population. And we've spoken time and time again about the size of the population currently, and that essentially we're looking to see with certainty that there will be a growth in that population as well. I wanted to get the perspective of Sister Cecilia's Home, which is one of the more well-known residential institutions for the elderly population. And let's find out just the number of persons that you're able to take in and some of the critical areas that you find need to be addressed.
We are good for, Sister Cecilia Home can take in 53 people. We are good for 53. Right, presently we have about 38.
Okay.
Right, and it's, even though you said that it's one of the active one, we also have homes like the Octava Wait.
Yeah,
they do their thing there. You got the Golden Havens, etc. They do their thing, but concentrating on Belize City right now. Yes, we do have 38 at this time, and it's managed to work by 24 individuals, 24 personnel, plus with in addition to 2 supervisors, 1 major supervisor. Number 1, I call it number 1 and 2. Right, they're all background with nursing ability. Right, so that's a plus for us. Right.
What's the age range of your population?
From 69, we have the 79 is youngest, and the oldest is 102. Right, and 2 women. It seems that women live longer than us now, no problem.
Statistically true, yes.
Yeah, as the case may be.
Yeah.
Right, so the question you asked now is, so when you look at Sister Cecilia, there are so many, I won't say constraints, but we have Alzheimer's. You have people who are 1 or 2 that are blind. We got 1 cannot speak properly. You know, so we have to look after them, right? So we have a good staff under the supervision of the supervisor who guide them, right? And this is a plus for us, you know. And they show care and whatever. But we also depend on the community to help us, because alone we are not good. We need the community, business people, etc. So, and we have some people that. Some business individuals are very good to us. You know, some family are very good to us, right? So we have to show, we work together in partnership, all right, as the case may be. And we are grateful for all those help that we have gotten in the past and expect to get in the future, right? Because without that, and we cannot forget that government also played its part, all right? But the
placement in the home,
yes.
Is it, how is someone placed in the home?
Okay, if you want to put someone there, we have an application form that is filled out, and there's a committee who deals with that. You have 3 members from the board, along with the supervisor, will interview the person, all right? We'll interview the relative of the person. We'll find out all the background information on the individual, and it's important here. It's no freebie, right? It's because we need the input of the family, right? And what have you? So it's a corporation. We have some problem in collecting But we just look at that, and we get to that eventually. All right? But the storm is float, and once you must be 65 and over. 65 and over to be admitted. All right? And we take it from there. We look at your health structure and what have you. And so once you're approved to come in, then the normal thing is you are taken in front of a doctor. The doctor is there, and we do a complete physical check on the person to make sure the person is okay at the time of admission. Right?
What are the challenges in terms of, because the focus is really on extending, but are we also looking at improving the quality of life for teenagers?
Of course. Certainly, because that's an issue. You look, culturally, we had that habit of, you're getting older, you don't have to do certain things. You can just sit aside. But studies have showed if you don't use it, you lose it. So it's important to keep the circulation going. It's important to be very active. It is active physically, mentally, spiritually, and maintaining wellness is also critical.
Yes.
Getting screened, because older persons, as they get older, there are changes in the vision, there are changes in the smell, smell, and at the same time, there are certain health conditions that are affecting our older persons. So they need to be screened, they need to be monitored and to maintain wellness.
One of the things that tends to happen with the aging population is linked to several issues: mobility and sometimes discrimination. There's a certain fear that starts to develop about moving around in the public. Now, add to that the fact that we have seen of recent a number of serious crimes taking place, almost targeting the elderly population. Have you seen an effect with the older population that you've been working with, that they are now concerned about whether or not the specific examples, I believe, have been robbery, fraud, and even rape? Have you found that they're more fearful?
Yes, as a matter of fact, looking at our community, I go to Wesley Church, and we used to have a number of elders going there in the evening. I know that has been reduced because people are afraid that they're going to be robbed or attacked. That's a fact, right? And what have you? So even at home, recently certain members of the community asked us for help, and they want their dad to stay with us until such time, right? So people have that a fear that something will happen based on what is reported, based on what is seen in our community. Right, and let's face it, it is happening.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And we have
There
to
have been heinous crimes in just in less than a year,
yes.
specifically targeting older persons.
Senior people. I mean, and it's sad.
Yes, very sad. And I need to say that the police is quite supportive. The police department very, very supportive in that respect, because we are in communication. Because we have to look at certain environments that are conducive to crime.
Yeah.
So we can call an officer on the south side to get yard maintenance for our older persons, and then the community policing certainly making a difference. So it's a partnership. It requires the community to reach out.
And I know even at HelpAge now you have included self-defense.
Yes,
as a part of your training to older persons, yes.
Through the Ministry of Human Services, they provide a training session in self-defense.
This is one of the reasons why I have a tendency to ask help from the GSU, right, to come in and see what's going on and look around, and they do help us, and this is important because we have to protect our seniors about all costs, because people have a tendency, and I think we said this before, and I will keep saying it. Not only at the home that we are responsible for, but when you look at our own society, I don't know when last you have gotten on a bus from Belize City to Cayo, or from Belize City, and that rush thing, right? And people don't care whether a woman is pregnant, a young child is there, or a senior person. They just bull rush to get into that bus. And I look at it and I say, we have some problem here. The respect for elders are completely put one side. We don't worry about it anymore, and that's sad. That's sad. Comparing to other to other societies. You know, I mean, they look after their elders. I'm not saying everybody does this. You see what I mean?
But we still see it in today's society.
We see. Because some people do love their grandparents, do love their old ladies, etc., their mothers, etc. But to us, we look at it and it's a sad situation.
Another area that we're looking at has to do with older persons and their properties. That's a challenge. It's becoming an ongoing challenge, and hence we are pleading to the legal profession to assist us. We have referred a number of cases to lawyers who have taken up cases because persons are being violated, exploited, they're taken advantage by their tenants who have been renting their places for years, and they have done unacceptable things like signing over the properties, and family members are aware of that, you know, and sometimes they sign over their land and their property with the expectation that this individual or this family would be caring for them. And as their health deteriorate, it appears that they are a burden, and sometimes they're afraid to say because of that dependency. But we're seeing a number of cases being brought to our attention.
Now, one of the conversations that I know that is ongoing also has been the grants from Social Security and the
pension.
The pensions in some cases. Where are we in terms of that conversation?
It's still on the table, and we are addressing that collectively with the National Council of Aging. We do have a new executive director, Miss Ishel Poot, a very dynamic and brilliant young person, and we are very happy for that. Because we have already met. She had taken up the post since January, and we had met as a team, as a group, all of us who are providing services to older persons, and we're looking at the continuum, what you do, what we do, and hearing the issues that are affecting our older persons, and certainly we are going to address that because it's not a isolated issue. We're seeing concern coming from over the country.
One other thing I have there, because I know globally the whole retirement age has been something that has been debated
Yes.
widely.
Yes.
And in Belize, where you retire at 55 and some people don't go on to a second career, that in itself poses some challenges in terms of people are living longer. How do they provide for themselves? So is that also something that has been a part of the conversation?
Certainly it's something that we're looking at because we recognize there are other sectors. For example, the Public Service Commission, that is the persons on that committee are older persons. So they're utilized for their wisdom and their expertise. We're looking at the Bar Association. You have attorneys 80 and they're still quite active. So we're looking at that our older persons still can contribute. All right, the area of consultancies. There are several areas where the expertise can be utilized. The chamber should be looking at utilizing them. BTEC should be utilizing them. They have quite a number of training sessions. So there are several areas. We have been in consultation with the University of the West Indies because we need to look at how best can we use our older persons, all right, and at the same time in various businesses. So it's a conversation that needs to happen, and we need to do it collectively because the needs of the older persons is not a one-man thing. It requires partnership.
On that same note, during this training session, a question came up in front of one of the senior counsel, and the question was asked by a senior elderly gentleman from Punta Gorda, reference to Social Security and whatever. His question to to everybody was he gets his Social Security, and then he dies, and his wife is his beneficiary. And then he said what he don't understand, if his wife gets another relation, that money is cut completely. And he said to us that it's unfair because that's his money, and if he left that to his wife should continue getting that money. So we weren't able to answer that question directly because it's a policy thing, and we have to do some research and find out exactly the situation of that. But it gives us, coming from an elderly gentleman, it gives us food to think about.
Yeah.
Even though, yes, the lady will live longer than him, he's still thinking about his wife.
Her being taken care of after.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what have you? You know,
And
a question like this came up, you know,
And I think there are many details
Yes.
about the process itself
Yeah.
that have been flagged
Yes.
as areas of concern, even what it requires for them to be able to collect
Yes.
Yes.
their pensions. We hear stories about transportation to be able to get to Social Security,
Yes.
what the different processes may be. And I think that those continue to be areas that are highlighted. My question to you, though, following 2 days of conversations with your counterparts, as frontliners, that's what I
Yes,
see you
yes.
as. If we are talking about extending the lives and improving the quality of the lives of the elderly, where should our priorities be at this point?
Health.
Healthcare.
Health is an
And
important
access to.
And access.
Access.
We're looking
Access to healthcare. Now, is this, I'd like us to break it down. Is it the cost of the healthcare for elderly persons, or is it accessibility to healthcare for elderly
It's a
persons?
combination.
It's a combination because you have to look at availability. How available is available? It's of access and affordability.
Okay.
And so therefore we are looking, because we have best practices, we look at the NHI model, we look at that Mercy Care model, but at the same time, the scope of it, how it needs to be expanded, we're looking at within the village settings. Outreach may be done, but outreach, how available is outreach services?
Yeah.
And when we go to respective clinics, probably at the Hattieville Clinic, can I get my blood works done? Can I get my treatment? You know, and then if I need diagnostic intervention, how can I access? And looking at the issue of transportation.
Yeah.
That's
all
right.
And what the coverage for older persons. So the area of data is also important.
For clarification, the Mercy Clinic, which is right here
Yes.
next to us, is the only institution that is exclusive for older persons.
Exclusive for older persons.
Is that being used as a model that may be replicated in other areas, or do you need a private sector partner to be able to do so?
Not necessarily, because we have got to look at the population and you know,
Okay.
certain factors, economics and certain things have to be considered also. But it can work in the south,
Okay.
and but at the same time, you need to look at using the Belize Health Information System to look at the data, look at what are the common health illnesses, the common death, and then to strategize.
Yeah.
You know, because yes, this model have worked, so it can be replicated utilizing that same NHI to provide a comprehensive across the board care to the young and the elderly, and same way Deep South. However, what we have done, we have tried in the north, where there's not an NHI doesn't exist, and the medical officer is quite facilitating in setting aside special clinic days for older persons.
And we still have problems with people who finding people who study geriatrics.
Well, we have
yes,
no
that is an
geriatrician in
issue.
country still?
No, there's no geriatric. We have sent any HelpAge the NCA, we have forwarded requests to the Ministry of Health to have one of the Cuban Brigada, the medical officer could be a geriatric to look at addressing issues of geriatrics. And certainly we will have to agitate that for a course in the area of geriatric be done at the School of Nursing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, we're running out of time, but this is definitely a first in what you hope will be the development of some kind of a strategic advocacy plan or networking model for the agitation of better services for senior citizens.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Certainly. We will utilize the institution. We'll start with Orange Walk to do a survey. We want to do a community survey to get some objective data on issues pertaining to older persons.
all right.
All right.
Well, we want to thank you both for joining us this morning, and a lot of conversation still needs to be had
Absolutely.
with regards to our older persons.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
We're going to go ahead and take a break, and when we return, it will be to look at the fuel tax and de-risking. Don't go anywhere. Open Your Eyes continues after these messages.